So this is our willing participant today, rescued from the scrap pile. Dug it out of this mess, and I think I see promise in this one, so we'll give it a go. It is a Shogun Tuff Trail with a 3x7 drivetrain, and it's very heavy, so I think it is full of water, but we will see about that. So the first thing from that to check will be that the bottom bracket actually moves, because if it doesn't move, there's no point going any further with it.
Ready. So Shimano bottom bracket will be fine. Whoa! I thought it was a spook.
So that is the bottom bracket out. I think we will replace it just because it was pretty nasty on the inside of there. Just giving it a quick clean, which is why it's outside. Next step, I think we'll be taking these old and rotten tyres off, and also doing something about this chain, which is very, very worn, but we don't have a replacement at the moment. So we're going to have to make what's on it work. Other than that, going pretty good so far. So that is the wheel all disassembled. Next step is to clean it out and put it all back together. So the chain has been covered in GT85. So while we wait for that to clean itself off, I'm going to deal with all these horrible cables, because they've all not got any ferrules on the ends. So I'm just going to replace all of them. Yeah, starting to take this all apart. The grips have had it, so I'm going to replace them. This shifter is broken, so I might as well replace it. I might swap it for a non-indexed shifter just to make it a bit more reliable, but we'll see. I also might take this off completely and just make it a 1x. So that is all the cabling done. Replaced all the cables. Or what I did was I moved the cables from the back up to the front. So this cable that's on here was actually the rear brake cable, and the cable that's on here was actually the rear shift cable. So I've just moved these up to the front, so we only needed 2 extra cables. Now next job is to finish rebuilding the wheel. So I put a new set of shifters on it, both a set of Shimano indexed. However, put it all together, assembled it, and this shifter is broken. It's missing one of the teeth on the inside of here, so that you could only get 2 gears out of the 3 that it should have. So it's gone back to the original shifter and the original brake, which someone has modified at some point. In there you can see where it was cut off. And so yeah, we're just kind of getting it all together. I need to true this front wheel, because there's a big kink in it. And apart from that, it's all starting to come together. That's looking a lot better than it was. And so that is this cheap bike basically done, I think. And so what do we do on it? Well, first thing we did was we changed the bottom bracket for a new one. While the one that was in there wasn't like terrible, it was getting that way, and I wanted to take it out anyway to make sure it moved, because that's the thing that usually kills these old bikes, is the bottom bracket being seized in there. So after we took the bottom bracket out, we took the wheels off and took the old tyres out because they were rotted and horrible. From there, we took the chain off, and while I'd want to replace it, we didn't have one, so I had to make do with this one. And so what we did, we took it off and we soaked it in a bowl of GT85 for an hour or two. And while it was soaking, I redid all the cables. And so what I did was I moved the actual cables were fine. It was just the ends were horrible and all frayed and very, very short. So what I did was I moved those cables up to the front. So this cable here, the front derailleur cable, was originally the rear shifter cable. And the front brake cable here was originally the one that was on the rear. And then I put 2 new cables for the back. I also redid most of the housing, but I did that all from bits of offcuts and other bits that we didn't actually want or need. And from there, I trued and rebuilt this front hub and trued the wheel. That was basically because it was very crunchy, and while again, it's not perfect, what it is good enough. And from that, just new seat post because it didn't have one. It's very, very short. It's only about that long. So I'm hoping that that is long enough and it's not going to cause problems in the long run. New seat, just the first one out of the pile. And yeah, grips. I was going to replace that shifter with this one, but as I said before, it's broken. So we took that one that is broken off. So we put one new shifter on it and just put the old ones back on, and they work fine. They're mismatched, but they were mismatched when the bike came to us anyway. And the final thing to put on it is the Becycle sticker, because this bike will be going out to a refugee or asylum seeker or a student or anyone else who needs a bike from us. So yeah, that's all. I would test it, but it's dark out and raining, so you have to take my word for it that it does in fact ride fine. You can see it pedals fine, shifts all its gears. So yeah, that's what we want, and hopefully this will go out to someone who needs it very soon. So this is the roundup for the prices I assigned to each of the parts. So the bike originally is a Tuff Trail, not a tube trail, as I said earlier. So I gave that a value of £35, which I think is fair because it was missing some bits, the chain was super rusty, and all it just needed a lot of work. I put a new bottom bracket in it, which I valued at £12. Even though it was a used bottom bracket, it was still a genuine Shimano one, so I think there's a fair assignment for the price. The seat post and the seat, I both gave a value of £5 because they're just generic, no-name parts. Basically just the first ones that I could find that fit. The shifter, I gave a value of £8. Again, mostly just because it was the first one I found that fit. There's nothing special about it. The cables and housing, I gave a value of £5, which might seem low, but we buy our cables in bulk, and once you start buying them in bulk, the individual price of a cable gets very cheap. Brake pads, I gave a value of £2 because they were used pads that we had already from other bikes that we'd scrapped, and if you're in the workshop, we wouldn't charge for them at all, they'd be free. Same with the grips. I gave them a value of £5. They're just the first ones in the bucket, and there was nothing special about them. This gave a total of £77 as the total amount of money that we spent, and that's well within the budget of £120, which was set by the competition. So yeah, hopefully that's been a good little video about converting a bike to be a simple bike for just running around on. And yeah, hopefully we'll do more of these. I've learned a lot just in this video, so hopefully there'll be more better videos in the future.